All right. We are going to see how quickly we can do an edit of a completely machinima episode. And then we're going to dive into what I'm really here for. You're not going to be hearing audio on this, by the way. I think it'll just be too much commotion. But I am just getting this episode done. This is the third one in a row I'm doing today. It should get us prepped for most of the rest of the month here. Got one more that's being recorded tomorrow by my cohorts. All right, so this is called Arito Tarajo by Chantel Harvey. Hope you're having a good afternoon. I am in Florida, and it has actually finally started to feel like autumn here. It's actually started to cool off to where it's not insanely hot. Still gets pretty hot during the midday when the sun's up, but it's the best time of year for sure, or starting to be. As we approach December, it's going to be more so. So, okay. So we've got the episode in here. Okay. We got to line up some name announcements at the beginning here, so I'll go ahead and get that done now. Hey, that timing worked out good. Okay, so then we need to swap them around here. We'll make Damien's go right there. And Tracy's starts right there. All right, and then where does it cut over to the single cam? Right there, okay. So that's where the logo moves to the corner. And that's where the little name thingies stop. Boom, done. Okay. Moving on. When do I shut up and Tracy starts talking? Yeah, I did some little attempt to be funny there at the beginning. All right, we don't need this clip here. All right, that's where Tracy starts talking, so we need Tracy's little name thingy. Is this her? Yeah. Pop that there. We'll move Damien down here. I'll give you a little audio here so you can hear me scrubbing through this. Let's just listen
in 2023, but it was made quite a bit earlier than that. And I'll tell you about that in a minute. But by way of a little bit of background, context. Is it? Okay, well, we'll come to that then. This is a machinima that
Yeah, let's have it start right there.
This is a machine.
Yeah, we'll just have the little film preview part start right there. So we'll bring over our little title thingy. And let's bring over the film clip, which is right here. There we go. How long do I go there? That's good. Stretch the name. Give it a little fade. And a little fade. We can get rid of that. We can get rid of that. Okay. This is hyperspeed editing here, but I've got limited time today, so we're going to do what we need to do. Okay, so Tracy talks about it, and I think then she hands off to Damien. Let's see.
But over to you guys.
So I'm gonna.
All right, there's Damien, and here's his name. Got it.
Talk about the title first. I was just trying to do a little bit of digging while you were talking there, just to try and confirm my theory.
Okay. And Damien, then I start. Let's see.
So thank you.
Well, I did a little more. First of all, is that the right name? That's me. Got it. Boom. Digging while you guys were talking and found out maybe some more information here. So,
Okay.
First of all, in one ear, okay. I like. I'm kind of picky about it, but I like it to be where when the caption for the name is going to show up, it's not where the camera cuts away to somebody. So I did it a little too early there. So we'll move it right here instead. Is that good? Yeah. Okay. And I happen to know there were no major mishaps or issues in this episode. So we can just cut to the end and where we mention the email address. About the making of that, and I talk about some of this in more detail, but there were points where they were committed to experiment, right?
Yeah.
And I think it works really well as one. So yeah, great pick, Tracy. I'm glad you brought this to us. I would have never heard of this one.
No,
Not just because I didn't know
it.
what Taurajo was, but yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Audience members, what did you think? Let us know in the comments on this video, or there's where we mention the email address, audio, or wherever you're listening or watching, or drop us a comment. At talk@completelymachinima.com. We'd love to hear what you think about all of this. And let's see what we did on the end here. We bid you a good day, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
That's a good stop. Okay, we'll drag out our little watermark thing to the end. There we go. Let's just double check here that we've got the titles all correct. Yep. That's good. That's good. That's Ricky's. He wasn't here this episode, so we just disable it. Okay. We are good. So, all we need to do now is go over to the rendering tab. We're going to update this. This is episode 203. We do one version as MP3 to upload like to the podcasting platform, and one is a 1080p MP4 for YouTube. All right. So we will just render those. Hopefully that doesn't disrupt the stream too much. It shouldn't disrupt the stream. It's using a little bit of CPU and stuff, but it's not that big a deal. So anyway, yeah, I'm in Florida. That's my home base, and yeah, it's starting to cool off. You don't start sweating the moment that you step outside. That's what cooling off in South Florida means. So, which this is okay. So it's middle of October. So I miss true autumn. I was born and raised in the Midwest, like Illinois, and yeah, autumn first of all started a lot earlier, but it's just nice. You know, the leaves turn colors and the air gets a little crisp. We don't really ever see that down here. I don't think any leaves really turn down here, not much. But yeah, we'll take what we can get. So what we're going to be working on today is, so I've been working on the debut episode of a new limited series, and so that's the first episode is always the most challenging, simply because, you know, I don't have any templates from the previous episode set up in as far as video editing goes, and I typically, you know, I want to craft some kind of a intro for the whole show. That's what we were working on some scenes for in the last stream, I believe. Well, the intro is done. Like, it's locked and everything. It turned out really good. I had to go back and fix some stuff, some little tweaks. But it turned out really good after those adjustments. So that the intro, as far as the iClone and animation and all that goes, the intro is more complicated than any of the episodes, which is kind of silly, but you know, you want it to be stylish. You want it to grab some attention, to be nice and colorful and all that. And I'm pretty happy with the intros that I did for Ralph and Chuck and for Odad as well. So what I'll do as soon as this is done rendering is I'll show those to you. We'll real quick take a look at the intros for Ralph and Chuck and for Odad, and then I'll show you the one for the new one for Lance and Nance, kind of a world premiere kind of thing. So we'll just let this render here. It only takes a few minutes typically to render this. All right, so if we go into, probably easiest to find this on the channel itself, I guess. Yeah, so we'll let that keep rendering in the background. Oh, hey, there's us. Say hi, everybody. Okay, so we want to find, I think I got playlists for both of these. Don't I? Yeah. So we've got Ralph and Chuck and we've got Odad, and then the one for the new series, I'll have to pull up a local file for that. So let's grab that real quick. Let's see. Yeah. Let's go ahead and open it, then we'll just pause it. Whoop, sorry about that. All right, so we'll watch that one last. I don't think I did the intro on this. Oh yeah, this is episode 1. There's an episode 0 somewhere. I think I removed it from the playlist because it's so short. It's almost like a teaser. And that didn't have the full intro on it. So that's that one. This one I went a step further. You see what I did on the thumbnails on this? It's the same layout of thumbnail each time, but different facial expressions and poses and stuff. I did kind of like a photo shoot for them, basically, with them doing all these, just to give a little bit of variety, but have a consistency as well. And on this one, on ODAD, I did more of it's like the kind of photo shoot that if you hired a photographer to go around with you and take candids and stuff when you're out. So I did that there. And with the Lance and Nance ones, where did I save those? I did something totally different with them. Yeah, so we can pull these up in the image software to show you what I did with those. And I haven't decided which thumbnail I'm going to use for which episode, but there's 6 episodes of Lance and Nance. And let's just open these up. With Lance and Nance, I did something that's a little bit more like if you got photographs done in a studio. You know, with they're lit and such as if they were in a photo studio with just backdrops like that. So I'll show you all those in just a second here. I actually did more of them than I need, which I guess is cool. Gives me some choice. With these guys, the emphasis is a little bit more on the fact that they're a couple. All right, so we'll pull that over when we need it. Is that render done? It is. All right. DaVinci Resolve saves, but I'm going to just manually save just in case. So we get that out of there. All right. So let's look at what we did for intros on these. So on Ralph and Chuck,
we have got to the point where literally anybody can build a full...
Whatever. At some point, I changed it to where when Sammy flies by, he actually waves. I can't remember who. I think it was Biggs Trek had requested that, and it was something I had wanted to do, but didn't. Hey, KJ, good to see you. No Other Land. What's that one about? So that's what I did for the intro for this. It's basically like a deconstruction of the set and then played in reverse. So all the set elements just coming together. Because really the emphasis on this one was very much about the setting. You know, that's like a central point to all of the episodes of this thing, is that these two guys are breaking restroom etiquette and talking openly in the bathroom, right? So that was that intro. On ODAD, I went with more of a stylized one. Like all the images for this these are iClone images originally, but then I ran them through like it's basically like a vectorization type of effect to give them this posterized bit of a look for the intro. And the emphasis on this one is the two of them driving in the car.
Keep your hands on the wheel. Oh, Daddy, are we there yet?
little bit of subliminal hints in the background here to the origin of these characters, which will only make sense to people who know that history. Hopefully they don't confuse people too much who don't know much about that. Because it's not obvious unless you know about Father Frag's Best, but that's who these characters are from.
Keep your mind on your driving. Keep your temper at rest. Oh, Daddy, are we there yet? Daddy, you're the best.
And then a little blood splatter thing there. Well, it starts out looking like paint, but then it changes to blood splatter. Again, just an homage to the Father Frag's Best history that hopefully is not too confusing for the people who don't know anything about that. So then here is, okay, let me see. Documentary film about the destruction of the occupied West Banks. Okay. So it's getting a digital release. How's that going to manifest? Is that going to be, is it on one of the streaming networks or somewhere else? I assume that's what digital release entails. Oh, okay, through digital retail. Okay. All right, so here's what the intro to Lance and Nance looks like. I think of the three, I'm the happiest about this one. Make it full screen.
Got no insurance, don't leave your care to chance. Call Lance, the freelance ambulance driver. If healthcare woes are leaving you all bunched up in the pants. Call Lance, the freelance ambulance driver. He's Lance, the freelance ambulance driver.
So at that point, whatever the episode number and title will appear over that, and then it'll crossfade into the actual episode. Part of what's been fun about this one is that it's a mixture of Grand Theft Auto 5 with characters and some objects done in iClone. This is something I've wanted to do like forever. Well, not forever, but for a long time. Like, because there's such a nice match between the native iClone render look and the look of Grand Theft Auto 5. At least in terms of, like, the characters in Grand Theft Auto 5, most of them, the ones that aren't the primary, lead characters in the story, they don't hold up great as far as detail-wise. And you can especially tell that if you've seen the GTA 6 trailer. It's like, just, wow. So much better. But the background, the vehicles in the city and the settings, it's just a really nice fit. And I had always envisioned Lance the freelance ambulance driver when I made that in Movie Storm way back when. I had always wanted to make it in GTA, which would have been GTA 4 at the time. But I just couldn't get the action that I wanted to happen in GTA 4. Even with mods and stuff. I mean, I tried for like considerable time. And so then I went to another animation software. I don't know why I never tried iClone, but even back then, I don't think it would have been like iClone 5 or 6 or something. I don't think I would have been totally satisfied with the result, but I could have at least made it look... I probably could have made it look better than I did in Movie Storm if I knew what I was doing with iClone at the time, which I didn't. So these scenes, this is GTA 5. This one here, this shot is just purely GTA 5. This here is, everything's GTA 5 except for the no parking sign and the ambulance. Those are, that I rendered in iClone, and then composite them together. And it's not a perfect match lighting-wise, but it's pretty close. The lighting direction is definitely right. And then there's like this zoom shot that happens. Yeah, and I covered over some of the compositing weirdness, you know, that getting things lined up exactly right. Some of that's covered over by this zoom blur effect to forgive a little bit of that. If you watch it really close, or if you watch it 100 times, you can see you can see where things jump a little bit. I'm not a master of that, so I did the best I could. But then obviously the characters here are iClone as well. And they're just, I basically tried to match the lighting, direction, and tone, and color, and everything to where it fits with the GTA 5. And the reason I did that in the intro is because the whole show is situated in that way. It's them sitting or being somewhere in the GTA 5 world, but the characters are all done with iClone, so I can get the perfect lip sync and expressions and all of that, the kind of control that I want, but still have the look of this. So this wasn't just a cheat to like not have to build out a city in iClone, which would have been a nightmare, by the way. But it's not just for that reason. It's also just that I like the specific look of this. And Lance, the freelance ambulance driver, was always envisioned to be a Grand Theft Auto film. I just couldn't make it happen in Grand Theft Auto with the kind of control that I wanted. So this shot here it's all GTA 5 except for the coffee cups and the bagel there and the napkin. So those are composited in. So on these still shots, it works really well. Now, when you get to the transition shots, again, you watch it really closely, you'll see a little bit of jumpiness, but I figure for an intro, it doesn't matter too much. See, now the coffee cups and the stuff are still over there on the table. They're not quite lined up perfectly, but that's fine. And Lance and Nance here are iClone. These are GTA 5 characters. So it's all meant to just kind of look like it belongs together. I had to do a little bit of clever masking when these two characters walked in front of the table to like mask out the coffee and all that. That was manual frame at a time to get it to reveal and disappear when they walked in front of it. Something I didn't think about when planning the shot, but that's the way it turned out. All right, so that shot this is also a composite. This is actually from GTA 4 because GTA 5 doesn't have an interior hospital. And I really wanted at least one of their episodes to be situated in a hospital because she works there is the presumption, and he would be around a hospital, being essentially the Uber of ambulances. So this character is iClone, but the whole scene is from GTA 4, the hospital interior, one of the hospital interiors. And I used some masking to make it where when he walks through here, he disappears at the door, but you can see like an outline of him barely through this window on the door. And that was just using just a mask that's, cuts off there, but then there's like a grayscale area for the window. I don't know if I can successfully... Yeah, you can see him there. You see that? Just partially like translucent. Yeah, it's all just done with masking in post. But this guy was iClone. And then when we cut to the zoomed out shot, that was just a camera move I did within GTA 4 and then sped it up and added the zoom blur and all that. And these guys are iClone, along with the coffee cups here. And then there's a little bit of a mask around this can here, even though I think her foot never goes behind it, but I masked it just in case. And then this shot, everything in the foreground here within the vehicle, including the lighting that plays on them as they're driving, that's just a static shot in iClone with moving lights. Just a whole bunch of just different colored moving lights that just move in a pattern that emulates what would what light would behave like if they were driving down a night street with lots of lights around, right? And of course, this is just an overlay title, but the traffic scene is just something I recorded in GTA 5 and then ran through the Rockstar editor. Now, his arm doesn't ever move, the wheel doesn't ever move, and I thought about changing that, but it happens so fast and it's such slight turns that I thought, nah, I'm not going to worry about it. But her feet move a little bit, and you'll see the light plays off them as they're moving. Okay, and then it switches over. This is, again, the ambulance and the stuff flying around in the ambulance and the characters. That's all just iClone. We worked on this one on the stream, I believe, to get this all lined up and animated properly. The backdrop is a scene from GTA 5. My character is standing off to the far left-hand side, firing like a rocket launcher into vehicles that I've caused to wreck, just to generate some chaos and explosion. And then I added some VFX of additional fiery explosion because I wasn't getting enough fiery explosion out of GTA 5. There's some there, you'll see, some stuff that flies by. So yeah, that's the intro for Lance and Nance. As far as the thumbnails this time, like I said, they're more like a photo shoot. And it's the two of them. He never changes what he's wearing. He's always wearing this signature outfit of his. But she has different outfits that she wears. That one's kind of my least favorite of the thumbnails, but it's supposed to be an outside shot and them. It looks like a backdrop though, right? So I don't know if I'll end up using that one or not. I liked the pose. I thought the pose turned out great, but they don't mesh very well with that backdrop. That's just a photograph backdrop, not GTA 5. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So that didn't mesh too well. All the others are just against like a gradient type of backdrop, with them in various poses like a photographer would have them do, right? So these are, I'm almost certain these will end up being the thumbnails, or at least the basis of the thumbnails for those episodes. That's one of my favorites. That turned out really great with the lighting and everything. Yep. So that's them. So let's fire up DaVinci Resolve because I want to show you the problem I'm going to try and solve today, and we'll see what happens. All right. We already downloaded that. We just haven't installed it yet. All right, so this is the timeline for the episode itself. So there's a couple things that I've got to figure out here. One is, it's kind of hard to see what's going on here, but this jagged set of scenes here, each track 1 through 6 here is a different, I'll just show you just the backdrop. It's a different scene in GTA 5. These are all filmed over the same span of time so that there will be continuity. So like if we're seeing this here, if we were to cut to a shot from the other direction, these same cars will be there moving in the same way. That was challenging to do. I had to kind of trick the Rockstar editor to take the same demo recordings and end up getting the same exact demo, the same actions, from 6 different perspectives. That was tricky, but it worked really well. So as a result, you've got complete continuity. So if there's anything visible here, someone walking on the street or cars going by or anything like that, it's completely continuous between these different shots that show different perspectives. The only thing that wasn't 100% continuous is the cloud patterns in the sky. That's something that's computed kind of on the fly based on the weather selection that you've got. And sometimes GTA would put like cirrus clouds up in that quarter, and sometimes it would be clear like this or hazy. But it's such a minor thing that it's hardly even noticeable. But yeah, so all these different shots are backdrops with that continuity going on. Then there's some close-up ones here as well, right? Now, with everything else in there, you've got our character, and then you've got backdrop, ambulance there, and then you've got masking. And the masking includes, like, I'm about to sneeze here. Hold on just a second. Okay, I thought I was going to sneeze. The masking covers up, like, where, you know, if I'm got to have this composited in. There's also, on certain shots, the masking is this table here as well. Yeah? So that's one of my problems, is I miscomputed a little bit the camera shot in iClone for Lance, to where there's times when he talks with his hands. And so some shots when his hands are low, it's no big deal. But on some others, when he's going to move his hands, let's see if we can find one example. Yeah, there. That one he doesn't lift him up very much. It's just that left hand is the problem. There. You see that? And all of a sudden, I had to turn the mask off for that, because it would take care of the waist here. You see how on his waist, you can't really see it very well there. See down there? The mask took care of that before, but the problem is that when the mask for the table covers his hand, then it becomes a problem. And I think all of that is solvable if I just adjust the camera angle so that it's a little bit further back, so it looks like he's situated a little bit deeper into the scene. Just for this one angle, that problem exists. And I pondered it and thought about it and thought about it, and can I live with this? And the answer is no. The answer is no. I can't live with it. Got to try and fix it. Will anyone notice? I don't know. But I will be bothered by it. And I got 6 episodes of this to do. Now, none of the other episodes take place at this exact cafe. So it really is only about this episode. Because every other one has their own masks, and I don't think any of them are really quite as close to his hand movements to be a problem like this. So, see, on her side, you can't see the table at all, so it doesn't matter. And it looks like she's situated in the chair. But on this particular shot, just on these, which there's a lot of them, and so any of them where he's moving his hands, I had to eliminate the mask so it wasn't cutting off his hand. And as a result, it breaks the illusion. If we go back to here, when his hands are under the table, then it looks like, you see what I mean? That little thing makes such a difference. So I think if I position him a little bit further back, it'll look like he's sitting a little further back in the chair, and maybe then his hands will clear the table mask. That's problem number 1. Problem number 2 may just be a matter, and let me just say too, by the way, I have not done color correction on this yet. So like, if you notice, like the ambulance looks too vivid and stuff compared to the more softer look of the, I know that. That's later in the process to do some color correction. I don't think that's going to be an issue at all. I'll be doing the same thing to them as well. They pop a little too much, but that's easily fixable with some color correction. Maybe I'll do that on stream if I get a chance. Actually, that'd be a good thing to stream. if the timing works out good on it. So yeah, anyway, so if that's something that you noticed, don't worry about that. That's coming. Okay. So the other problem that I've got, or challenge, is I really want the audio from these backdrop scenes to be there as a track that then I can mix in my final audio mix. When I was putting these in place, this started out with 6 full tracks going all the way across, and then I had to cut them to line up with the cuts in the iClone scene so that the right backdrop shows up for the right camera angle, right? Well, with that, and then all the audio tracks that had to go underneath it, it was just too much to manage on the screen. And so I just got rid of the audio tracks. Didn't really think that through. Because, well, now they're not here anymore. And the reason that I want them is because they are positional. All of these recorded the audio. When you render it through Rockstar Editor, it brings the audio from the position of wherever the camera was. So it has a really nice effect of not only being in alignment with the car movements and stuff like that that are going on the screen, but the right pan and the right positioning in your left and right ears. It's perfect. There might be moments where GTA 5 characters have a habit of they do a lot of incidental conversation that are like little random things and stuff. But I figure if those come up, I can cut the audio around those if they're disruptive, right? But the main thing I want is the sound of the city and the traffic. And at present now, that's not part of my timeline. So what I'm going to take a moment and look at here is there a way in DaVinci Resolve to tell it, hey, this clip, the video that is the source for this little background clip here, this has audio in the file itself. I just removed the audio from the timeline, but I didn't remove the audio from the video. It's still there in the clip. So is there a way to have it reconstruct the audio from this and put it down on a track for me to use? That would be the ideal solution, because then I could just go through each of these one at a time and just pull that audio down. If that doesn't work, I've got a workaround. So I think I want to tackle that first. So if we've got this clip selected here, let's just look at what our options are here. Fusion, retime, change duration, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I don't see a choice for that. I think that once you drag it onto the timeline, I think you're pretty much stuck. It treats the audio and the video at that point as separate clips for the purpose of the timeline. Okay? So that's not going to work. So here's my workaround option. I'm going to create a new copy of this timeline so I can really open things up and mess with it a bit. So we're going to go to timeline and duplicate. And let's just name it something that we know what it is. Traffic audio. Okay? Now if we open that up, we can mess with this and it doesn't affect our original edit. Okay? So let's just see what we can do here. I'm going to remove the existing audio from this timeline. And honestly, there's not any reason to keep these tracks around either. This is our only focus here. So we can now delete empty tracks and make some more room for ourselves here. Just a little bit more room. I like being able to see a little bit of thumbnail. Okay. So here's my thought, and I'm not going to try and do this for the whole thing on stream here because it's probably going to be pretty time consuming. But my thought is, let's take this first clip here and let's move it out to the end for now. So it's right there. Now we're going to paste, let's see, we're going to move it up. No, let's paste one more. This top one, let's zoom in here. The top one is going to represent the actual clip that we used. But this is a cropped, is cropped the right word? It's been trimmed on either end duration-wise. So now I can see which file this is. Let's move these up one more track. This is kind of workspace here, what we're doing out at the end. So it's Second Cafe 2025-01. Let's find that. Yeah, so that's this file right here. Okay. Now if we take this and we extend out the parts that we trimmed off without moving it. Okay, I need to zoom out a little bit. Okay, so that's the full clip. This is the segment that we used. So now we're going to bring in the original and see that it's got the audio with it now. There we go. So now if we trim this down to match our clip, there we go. We've got the audio that went with this clip. That's the approach I think I'm going to use. It's going to be a little tedious, but I need to do this carefully with each one of the clips. Now, there's one other minor issue, and that is, let's look at what's happening in this clip in GTA. This is some opening footage that I put on to make sure that the watermark goes away completely. It's throwaway footage, so that's why it's just pointed at the ground like this. Because there's a watermark that they put on the footage, and I want to use the full thing without, enlarging or cropping or anything like that. So if you put a little bit of extra footage on your Rockstar Editor thing, then it went away pretty quick there, but it will get rid of the, you can trim away the watermark. Okay? So then, whenever it changes location, this happens anytime. Whenever it changes location, look at what happens to the audio here. See that? Right when it changes location, it it drops the audio level down and slowly ramps up. It doesn't take terribly long to do that, but the result is going to be this weird dip in the sound. And this will happen anytime that one of these clips is making use of like a border of a camera cut that happened inside GTA. So my thought on that is it shouldn't be that big a deal to alter it just a little bit like so, right? I mean, technically it's, what is that, 52 frames? So it's technically almost 1 second off, but I don't think, I'll have to play with that and see if it matters. Let's undo that. See what I mean? So like, I wouldn't know that that's wrong. The honk happens there. That's the main thing, is the honk. So if I were to move it like so, the honk happens a little later, but it still looks like logically it fits. I might even be able to go a little further. It's mid-honk there, isn't it? Let's see. No, it's not. It is mid-honk. Okay. So stuff like that, only for border clips will I have to do that. Excuse me. But those are nudges that I could make before. Okay, so my process here is going to be to perform this basic edit of these. My thinking is to do it kind of like so. So we've got this for the very first clip, right? So if we drag this over and line it up, there it is. So my thinking is that I will drag these out just a bit on each end so that I can smoothly crossfade them in my audio edit. And it should be a fairly continuous. There doesn't need to be much crossfading because these are hard camera cuts, so you expect a little bit of change in audio. But I'd want to give myself a little bit of leeway there. And how this will work is, if we now move to the next one, this is from the same track, so we can get rid of all this. That was just workspace. If we take this clip, bring it over here, paste it twice, and then open it up. We'll zoom back out. Yeah. So again, we've got isolated the part that we need. Let's get this up out of the way. This is still the same file. And now we can trim this. Oh, missed the audio there, like so. Yeah? Now we can take this audio clip for our second shot. And what I'm going to do is put that down on its own track here. Yeah, let's not do our overlays yet. We want these to line up perfectly. So then I'll have it alternate back and forth between audio tracks. But I'll extend these out a little bit so that I've got some crossfade opportunity. But when I export it out, I'll export out this track by itself and then this second audio track by itself. And I'll end up being able to do smooth crossfades there where I need to. That's going to work. It's just a little bit of a pain in the butt. But I think it's going to be a much better effect than me just taking some city sound effect from a library that I've got and just hoping that that sort of sounds like this. I don't think it's going to be convincing audio-wise, even though it's background. It's just, if it doesn't have the right ambience, then it's not going to be a convincing illusion. And I really want it to be a convincing illusion. So that is the approach that I can take there to fix the audio problem. So that was all workspace. I can get rid of it. So I've just got to do that. How many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 33 more times. Yeah? So that's not good stream material, so I'm not going to do that here. So let's look at our other problem. If we go back to the episode 1 timeline. This problem of him being situated, I want to see how it will look if he's situated back a little bit more. So let's fire up iClone. It's probably going to screw up my webcam, so I'll probably turn off the webcam if that happens. is close that and close that. And close that. All right, iClone. That took a little longer to open than normal. Okay, so we're on the intro. No, we're not on the intro. We're on the episode. So we want the most recent version of the project, which is this one. All right, I'm gonna conk out the webcam here because iClone wreaks havoc on it, but I'll be back. Which one do we want here? What do people? It's because I'm an idiot. I hit the wrong button on OBS and I've been talking here to nobody. Yeah, only for a few minutes, I think. I hope. So, yeah, sorry about that. Okay, so we're going to bring the camera just a little bit more that way so that when he slouches, he'll end up right where we want him. That looks right, and that looks like the right distance from the table now. Okay. Yeah, that was a rookie mistake, wasn't it? Okay, so what we're trying to do here is I've noticed that on these shots, it's all compositing. So you know you've got masks that are the table and whatnot, and I've noticed this little bit right here that technically this is, you know, it just doesn't work right. And then his arms, when he does arm movements, it kind of looks like his hand position just doesn't look quite right. And it's not gigantic, but it's enough that it just bugs me. And so in these shots here where his hands stay below the table, it doesn't matter. But as soon as you see that, as soon as it goes up, it just feels like the illusion is broken. Now, I don't know if anyone will even notice it, but I will notice it. It'll really bug me. So I'm trying to adjust it within iClone. So I'll re-render the footage, sub it in here as the file. This is the only camera shot that's affected by that. So I've got him situated a little bit further back, and now it just feels like it's at least plausible, the illusion, you know? So I think we've got it. So let's lock camera 3. That's where it should be now. And then let's turn off some stuff here. We did a new image layer. This is image 3 mask. So we'll just plop that right up here. Okay. And we don't want the mask rendered in here. We just want the pure footage. Okay. I think we've got it. I think we've got it. So we're going to save this as a new version. Call it number 6. Yeah, you know, I feel like it pays off. But it's one of those. It's funny because it's one of those things that, like, if you spend that time to tweak that thing and then you get it right, you never really know if anyone would have noticed. So you don't get like a hey, congrats. But I feel like that if we let those things go, I don't know. I don't know how much of an effect it has on the way the production is received, but I wouldn't feel as good about what I'm doing if I let that kind of stuff go when I see it. The unfortunate ones are the ones that you see after it's already published and on YouTube, right? There's always those. That it's like, oh man, how did I miss that? I wonder if Hollywood filmmakers are the same way, or if they've just got so many people involved in their teams that happens so less often. I mean, obviously we find mistakes in movies, but yeah. Okay, so that's ready to render. And the other problem was the audio, the traffic audio. And I figured out how I'm going to do that. I've just got to repeat this step here. But this is the, if you just joined, this is the timeline for episode 1 of this. So it's no color correction done yet and things like that, but it's all set. So each one of them, it takes place at a different locale, and it's all about GTA 5 backdrops and iClone assets composited in, including some in the background, which I help out a little bit with some masking of stuff like that. But without color correction, that's going to really stand out. That all the vehicles in this, you can see them. Everything has kind of a haze to it. And out of iClone, this is like really sharp. So, most of the time, yes. Most of the time, they're drinking coffee. And in fact, in the intro, I didn't notice it until later that I made sure that in every shot there's coffee. So they're holding coffee here. This is the one we worked on the other day. There's coffee there. The presumption, I guess, is going to be that they left that stuff there. Why'd they leave a perfectly good everything bagel? I don't know. And then the hospital shot here. They're making out in the hallway, but there's coffee down here. And that's all brought in by iClone. Yeah, they really like coffee. There's a coffee on the dash. I added that late in production. And then I added this to our ambulance jump scene I'm really happy with. Their coffee is actually flying through the air. And a cinnamon roll, too. So... yeah, it's turned out pretty good. The intro is all done. I'm really happy with that. There's a lot more action in the intro than there is in the show. The show is humorous dialogue and whatnot. But yeah, it's coming along. I don't know if I'm going to get it. Technically, my next open slot for a video is this Friday. I don't know if I'll get this done by then or not. I may have to put something else in if I'm going to keep on the... I've decided I want to keep on the weekly thing just through the end of this year. And then I think because I'm at the bottom of the barrel, I don't have any extra cues stacked up that helped me out in the past. So I think for next year, I'm going to change tactic a little bit. And because it's, there's limited time and it's like, there's certain stuff that I've been putting in there that's, I guess, a little bit lower effort, which there's nothing wrong with that, but those were easier to do when there was a lot more of them. Yeah, same intro each episode, except for right there will be where the title goes. So same basic approach that I did for the Ralph and Chuck and for the Odad series, that the intro will stay pretty consistent, because I wouldn't want to have to redo this every time. Holy cow. The music turned out really good for it. It's with some help from Suno, it's like kind of a Frank Sinatra sound, big band, jazz sound, singing the same song that I wrote for the original. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. So, yeah, that is all I need to do today. I'll come back and do the audio stuff off stream. What I ran into was all the backdrop footage is GTA scenes that are run continuously from this same location. Because what I wanted to end up having was continuity for the backdrop stuff. And like radical continuity. Longer than Rockstar Editor can actually provide video. Like, it's not the Rockstar Editor limitation, it's the recording implementation within GTA 5. It only will record, depending on how much action's going on the screen, it's, 30 seconds, 45 seconds. But I wanted full continuity of the video backdrops, even through camera changes. So I recorded several consecutive demos, basically just with my character kind of hanging out on this corner. And then I had to go in and kind of, there's a way to fool Rockstar Editor to where when you apply camera moves to one clip, if you exit out, or if you like Alt-Tab out and change the name of the files that it's working with, you come back in and it will attempt to apply those same edits to a completely different clip. That wouldn't work if you were running all over the city, but because we were in one static location. So the end result is I end up with 6 tracks of this same coffee corner scene from 6 different camera angles that I need for the shots. And for the most part, the weather and the sky and all that, they stay pretty consistent. There's a little bit of variance there because some of that stuff is computed on the fly by GTA. But it ended up being pretty consistent. So I went through and cut all these up to match the camera cuts in iClone so that the right backdrop is with the right person, and you know. But what I didn't really think enough about when doing that is I wanted to use the background audio from this because it's decent quality sound effects, and most importantly, all the positional, you know, like left to right stereo positioning of the audio, it actually changes based on the camera that you rendered it with. So it's this, it would be continuity of audio, but with the change of direction, which just ends up being a really nice effect. Well, when I'm dragging all these 6 tracks of video in here to try and line all this stuff up in the other timeline, I trimmed the audio off temporarily because it was just too unwieldy, you know, it was too tall. Well, now I want to get that back. And I think I just assumed that there would be an easy way to tell Resolve, hey, just bring the audio for this back, please. No, there's not. So what I'm going to have to do is what I started doing here is take one of these clips, bring it over, line it up with the original footage exactly right, and then I'll do one more just to show you. So if we take this clip here, we don't have the audio for that yet. Go out to the end, out of the way here, and we paste it a couple times. This top one serves as the marker for what segment of time that was used. But the actual clip, because these edits are non-destructive, the actual clip is longer than that. So this is the actual clip that it was pulled from. So then I find this file, 2025-01, and I bring it on down. When I bring it in again, it brings in the audio with it. So now I can trim it to the segment of time we actually used. And then bring this over and line it up with that. Whoops. Let's not do that. We just want the audio. Yeah. And I'm doing them on alternate tracks because, let me do some cleanup here. Doing alternate tracks because I'm going to bring this over into a multi-track audio editor, into Cubase, which I use for that. And what I'll be able to do is pull these out just a bit, right, before I export it, so that I can do, so I've got some crossfading ability between these in case I need it. It's for some of the camera cuts, the crossfade may not matter. But all the horn honks and everything that happened in the scene will be consistent throughout. And it's going to be low in the background, so it'll be hardly noticeable. But it would be noticeable if, like, my thinking is it would be noticeable if the ambience didn't fit what you see there visually. And that's one thing that GTA does and did really well, is their ambient sound is great. So the only concern is, do any of these people, like, you know, pop off at the mouth and shout things randomly, which GTA characters tend to do. If so, I'll have to kind of cut around those. Like, and usually they don't say nice things either. Like, it's like just obscene. So we'll have to see if any of that turns up. But if so, I figure, well, I can nudge these. After I get all of these dropped down like that, then I'll survey it for that, nudge around it a little bit, that kind of thing. And then I've got the tracks that I need for my audio edit. I can bring these over into the real timeline, put them down here on their own tracks. So then we've got, music here for intro and outro. We've got the dialogue here, and I'll have 2 different tracks that I can crossfade between as needed, or cut between, for the background audio. And that's really all the audio that this needs. So once I get that mixed, bring the final mix back over here, do some color correction to get stuff to match, figure out, probably the outro is going to be just like over one of the thumbnails. Were you here when I showed those? Thumbnails are pretty cool. They're like they did a photo shoot, basically. I just did all these in iClone too. I don't know if you can pose multiple characters in CC4. I don't think you can. I've always assumed that you can't. So yeah, there's a handful of these that are going to be the thumbnails for the videos, but also I'll probably use them as outro backdrop as well. I had a lot of fun with these. He's boring. He's like me. He's in the same outfit all the time. She obviously has different wardrobe stuff going on, but yeah, they turned out good. So yeah, one of those, I'll line them up to the episodes, and those will be the backdrop when the final music is fading out and whatnot. Leave room for the little, YouTube thingamajigs. Yeah, I think we're right about that. That CC, it's one. You can have one character. You can load up props and stuff, but I just, I know all the same lighting stuff and all that is available in CC4, but I just, since I know iClone and I have it, I just use that for those types of things. But that's become a fun part. I wish I had done a little bit more of that with Ralph and Chuck's thumbnails. For theirs, I just had the 2 of them. Trying to think of what it was modeled after. Kind of a little bit of like the old Three Stooges, where it's just their 3 heads and they've all got different facial expressions. So I did that with Ralph and Chuck. They're just different facial expressions. With the Odad ones, I did more of a outdoor photo shoot thing. And then with these, it's really more of like as if they were done in a photo studio or something. So, yeah. I'm pretty excited about this. I don't think I'm going to get it done by Friday. I'm moving this week, so I'm lucky that I'm able to carve out any time even today. But if not Friday, then the week after that for sure it'll be done. And then hopefully the remaining episodes will be a little bit easier, if nothing else, just because I've learned something about how to do this efficiently from these. But all of them are at other locations. So each of those other, and there's at least one episode that they jump between like 3 different locations mid-conversation. So those will be challenging. But yeah, I'm looking forward to them. And I think the content's pretty good too. Yeah, moving sucks. It's the worst. So it'll be good when it's over. I mean, it's a good move, but it's just, the move itself is, ugh, so much to do. So yeah, I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call it a day. And probably won't be doing a lot of streaming in the coming week, again, because of the move, but I'll see you on the other side of that. Oh, we're moving home. Yeah. Moving the business sucks too, but my business is really small now, so that's not that bad. And also, it's a really good situation where I'm at with it right now. Probably won't move anytime soon, unless I move it to home, which I might be able to do, but we'll do that later. Yeah, thank you very much, Phil. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time.